I'm just going to get straight into it. Thought this is a good time to give a bit of an update and look at liquidity levels, because for those that follow in the Discords where I post some thoughts every now and then, you'll know that I mentioned that there was a massive chunk of liquidity down here that when I saw this pump, although I did sort of expect it to pump, it pumped through a bit further than what I thought. I was surprised that it didn't try and come down and sweep the liquidity under here first. So this here is a script by Leviathan, I think it is, yeah, that uses data from this one. I've got it on Binance. It's probably the best data source for this one from what I understand. And what these horizontal lines and these dots are showing is liquidity levels, where if it gets to that price, these trades that were placed in here, if they haven't already been taken off the books, they'll be liquidated. So I got it on the daily at the moment just to show you there is still a bit of liquidity down around here, and there's still a bit of liquidity up around here as well. So, and then obviously these are the next pockets of decent size sort of liquidity. There's going to be obviously more in between here, but these levels are for 25x and 50x traders. Nothing less than that, and it's only showing the big trades that are out there. So interestingly, I wanted to show the daily just because this level here is an interesting one. There's potentially some support there. If we break below that, then chances are we are coming back down into this area here as well, around that 20k mark. If we get a really big dump for whatever reason, the economy craps its pants, then I wouldn't be surprised if we swipe these lows. It'd be a quick one, similar to the 2020 Corona dump, but that's sort of what I'm looking at. So daily, there's not much going on close by apart from this. So I suspect we're going to come down and take this level first. And the reason I say that is if I go to, let's say, the 4 hour, you can see there's a bit more detail now. So there's a fair chunk of liquidity down here. Yes, there's a bit of liquidity up here. All these shorters from as far back as, way over here. At the moment, on the 4 hour, it doesn't look like there's a hell of a lot down here. But if we come into, let's say, the 1 hour, you can see here that the closest stuff, and it's just swiped some of this liquidity in here. But there is a fair chunk just down here, and that's all the liquidity that's sort of left over from people. It's actually from back further. That's from people buying the dip at this point. So you can see there's a fair chunk left there, and if you look on the high block stuff, there's probably shows up as being, in terms of dollar value, there's quite a bit more around this area. That's the sort of principle. The market maker likes to go back to where the liquidity is sitting. Doesn't like other people to make money, so it'll try and come back there at some stage. This was a pretty classic move, really. I know Benjamin Cowan pointed out that it's potentially going to do the same thing that XRP did after its SEC announcement recently, and it's pretty much done exactly that. It's just got pumped on the news, and then it's just retraced everything, and it's come back towards this liquidity in here. So that little wick down would have surprised and liquidated some people. I'm expecting it still to come down at least into this area. And if we do break below that, chances are we could get a bit of a slippery event where it'll just drop down into this 23k area as well, which isn't shown up because it's not far back enough. But that would be sort of my guess of what's going to happen. Can we get bounces? Yes, we can. But at the moment, there's no real massive sell orders coming in at this point. So I don't expect a huge bounce here, maybe a bit more sideways before we go down. We'll just have to wait and see. So the other thing I wanted to point out too was just look at the volume difference on Binance. Everything, lots of volume through this whole lower area here. And on the way up, lots of people buying that area. And then just nothing. People just sitting on it and waiting. So it would not surprise me at all if we came back into this area just because of the volume that was bought during that time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but and it may never happen, but it's certainly of interest to just know that that's in that area. Pretty good dip, really. That was a nice little sweep up. Would have actually liquidated a lot of people who were going short in here with high leverage. And yeah, just the old dumpola last night, eh? That was pretty much all I wanted to go through today. There's not a hell of a lot else happening, really. Where is it? Let's liquidation levels off for a sec. So as far as I'm concerned, we're still outside these Bollinger Bands that have opened up. Could bounce off the Bollinger Band and go a bit lower, but I suspect we're getting close to the bottom here. Just pop this up. Yeah, pretty good cross to the upside there. I'd be surprised if we didn't at least have a bit of sideways, maybe come back up into this area over the next few days, over the weekend. Depends a little bit on how the job numbers and stuff go this week, I would think too. But the other thing is, so NASDAQ had a bit of a drop. Oh, actually went up overnight, didn't it? Yeah, went up slightly. Fairly typical for it to go sort of sideways before it really dumps off. Big volumes coming in the last half hour or so. Big volumes. Just look at it quickly on the daily. We are very much at a critical zone volume-wise there. And that's a bit of a turnaround candle there. So yeah, I mean, I would hope that this is the level that it drops off from, to be honest. It's not. This is still pointing to the upside. What's that again? I don't remember what these things are sometimes. Oh yeah, WT. Could we go a little bit more sideways for a bit? Yeah. Could we keep going up for a bit? Yeah. If we go up, I'd expect to turn around just to close this gap and then turn around. But I was kind of expecting a bit of a midweek turnaround, which hasn't really eventuated yet. Last 2 days of the week will be interesting, I think. So just be aware of that. I think Bitcoin's probably going sideways a little bit more down, take some more of that liquidity. And then we'll probably get a little bit of a bounce too. I mean, looking at this, it wouldn't be out of the question to actually pump to a new high for this area anyway. Wouldn't be out of the question to do this, fall off next week. That'd catch a few people out. But it wouldn't be out of the question to do this too. And then sort of have a bit of a bounce around. These months typically are sort of some of the most down months of the year, particularly in the pre-election years. And yeah, I don't expect any new massive major highs, but still probably going to be reasonably positive into the end of the year after we have a little bit of a correction. I would think that 200 EMA on the daily is a pretty good target, I think, at some stage in the next month. All right, that'll do for now. Catch up.